Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we will be looking at the question paper of March 2023. There are two parts. Part A has 8 options of questions and part B has 4 questions. So let's see the first question. Explain graphic representation of data. The definition is graphic representation of data involves using visual formats like charts and graphs to simplify and present numbers or numerical information clearly. That means graphic representation of data means it shows numbers of fact in pictures like charts or graph, for example bar graphs, pie charts, to make them easy to understand. Let's see the purpose. It aims to make complex data more accessible and understandable, facilitating quick insights and decision making. That means the goal is to make hard to understand data to simple and clear, helping people quickly see patterns, compare facts, and make decisions. So let's see that some of the types: bar graph, line graphs, pie charts, histogram. So let's see each. Bar graph means using bars to compare different groups or category. Line graphs shows trends or changes over time using lines. Pie chart use slides of a circle to show part of a whole. And the histogram, it uses bars to show the distribution of data in ranges. Alright, let's see the principles. Principle of effective representation. The first is clarity, simplicity, relevance, labeling, and scaling. Clarity means making the graph easy to understand. Simplicity means it avoids unnecessary detailing. Relevance means include only important informations. Labeling, it add title, labels, and legends. Whereas scaling means uses proper scales to represent data accurately. So let's see the next question. Write short note on scientific method. One famous definition is by Versma. According to him, the scientific method is usually described as series of steps beginning with the identification of some problems and proceeding to the final steps of drawing conclusions. In short, it follows a step-by-step plan to solve a problem. It the first step start with noticing or identifying a problem, then carefully studying it, and at the end we'll make conclusion based on what we find. Alright, the next paragraph. Scientific research is a systematic, control, empirical, and critical investigation of the problem. This line is a important one, so you need to memorize it. Scientific method is a systematic, control, empirical, and critical investigation. That means scientific method studies something in an organized and careful way. Systematic control means it's not randomly taken, it's control way. And empirical means it's based on real evidences. And critically investigated means it involves questioning and testing idea to get trustworthy answers. Now let's see some of the characteristics. In the previous video we have discussed this. So the word POSEV, P-O-S-E-V, is associated with these principles, whereas P means predictability, O for objectivity, S for systematic, E for ethical, and V for verifiable. And there are some other characteristics of scientific method as well. These are some other characteristics. You can pause and read once. Let's see to the next question. Purpose of research. These are some of the main purposes. Exploration, when we conduct research to explore a concept. Next is explanation. Explanation is when we do research for explaining a topic or our question solution. Next is description. It's when we want to add more in detail information. And the next is theory building. That means a research done for making a new theory. Next is fact checking, and the last one is pushing the boundaries. Alright, the next question, write short note on principle of research. The word you have to remember it, Grover's tea, Grovers, Grover's tea. It will be easy to recall the principle. Let's see, G is for generalization, R for reliability, O for objectivity, V for validity, E is for ethics, and one more R, it's for rigor, S is for systematic, and the last T is for transparency. Alright, next question. What is hypothesis? Explain briefly the types of hypothesis. The word hypothesis is composed of two different words, hypo and thesis. Hypo means something less or little, and thesis means a derived conclusion or theory. Our effort to arrive at some valid conclusion to our findings as something less than formulating a theory. A hypothesis is like a guess or prediction about how thing works. It's an idea you can test to see if it's true or false. For example, if you think that watering a plant will help to grow, that's a hypothesis. In simple terms, hypothesis is a smart guess or idea about how something works. It's not proven yet, but you can test it to see if it's true or false. Again, for example, eating healthy food makes people more energetic is a hypothesis, so you can test it. The next is types of hypothesis: simple hypothesis, complex, directional, non-directional, associative, causal hypothesis, and null hypothesis. So let's see each of them briefly. Simple hypothesis, this is a straightforward guess about one thing affecting another. Example, if I study more, I will get better results. A simple hypothesis means it's an easy guess about how one thing causes another. For example, this one, so it shows one cause and one effect. Next, complex hypothesis. Complex hypothesis means this involves more than one cause or effect. For example, how much I exercise, my diet, and my sleep all affect my health. That means complex hypothesis, this is a guess that includes more than one cause or effect. That means many causes affecting one effect. The next is directional hypothesis. This predicts which way things will go. For example, if I eat less junk food, I will lose weight. That means hypothesis predict the specific direction of an effect. It guesses a specific outcome. So if I eat less junk food, I will lose weight. That means it points to a clear outcome. Next is non-directional hypothesis. This just says there is a relationship between two variables or variables, but doesn't say how. For example, there is a relationship between sleep and grades. It doesn't say if more sleep means more grade or not. Alright. The next is associative hypothesis. This says two things are related but doesn't say one causes the another. Example, people who exercise often have better moods. So they are linked, but we don't know if one causes the another. Causal hypothesis. This claims that one thing directly affects another. Example, if I drink more water, I will feel more energetic. It suggests a direct cause and effect relationship. Null hypothesis. This is a statement that says there is no effect or relationship at all. For example, starting with music doesn't change my test score. So it acts as a starting point for testing. Alright, next question is, how do you calculate mean for hypothetical raw data? This is the formula of calculating raw data. Sum of x means summation of all the values, x means values, and divided by number of values. Raw data means which is unarranged or ungrouped data. So there are three steps of calculating mean for hypothetical raw data. The first is add all the numbers together, sum of all the values in the data sheet. Next is count the numbers, determine how many values are in the data sheets. The total number of data should be points. And the last one step is divide the total sum by the count. The dividing the sum from step 1 by the number of data collected from step 2. For example, if your raw data is 4, 8, 6, 5, 3, so number 1 is 4 plus 8 plus 6 plus 5 plus 3 is the first step, equals to 26. Now let's second step, count the numbers. So there are 5 numbers, 4, 8, 6, 5, 3, 5 numbers. So the last step is divide the sum by the count, 26 divided by 5. So the mean is 5.2. Alright, question number 7. Write the characteristics of a good taste. So these are some common characteristics. Now let's discuss each one by one. Number 1, reliability. That means the results are the same every time we measure something. So if I do one test and the same test is done by someone other, he or she should get the same. Number 2, validity. That means the test actually measures what it's supposed to measure. Number 3, objectivity. That means there is no personal bias affecting the results. Number 4, usability. That means the test is practical and doesn't take too much time. Number 5, discrimination. The test can tell the difference between high and low performance. That means discriminating between high and low performance. 6, comprehensiveness. That means the test covers a wide range of topics or areas. 7, clarity. Means the test is easy to understand without any confusion. Alright, let's see the question number 8. Write briefly the various scales of measurement. So there are 4 scales of measurement in research. The first one is nominal. Nominal, it's like labeling things with names or categories, no order. For example, colors or types of animal. That means naming things. Second, ordinal. Ordinal means there is no exact differences. It's about putting things in order, but you don't know how much difference there are between them. For example, ranking, first, second, third. So the first rank can be 98% and the second rank can also be 97 point something. So we don't know the difference. Number 3 is interval, measuring with equal distances, but there is no true zero. Interval, it measures things with equal distances between them, but there's no true starting point. Zero isn't real. For example, temperature in Celsius. Ratio is measuring with equal distances, and a true zero can compare sizes. It's similar to interval, but it has a true zero. You can make comparison. For example, weight or height, where zero means none. Now let's see the next one. What do you mean standard deviation? Calculate standard deviation for the following data: 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 and 50. Standard deviation is a measure that shows how spread out or close together the number in a set of data are. If the standard deviation is low, the number are close to the mean, that means the average. If the standard deviation is high, the number are more spread out from the mean. In simpler terms, it tells you how much the data values different from the average. A smaller standard deviation means most values are similar to the average, while a larger standard deviation means the values vary a lot. Now let's see calculating standard deviation for the data. So there are 5 steps. The first step is finding the mean or average. The second step is calculating deviation from the mean. The third step is we have to make square of each deviation. Number 4, finding the average of this square. First, we have to add up the square values and divide the numbers of data points. And the 5th step is taking the square root. Now let's calculate. Now let's add up all the numbers to find the mean or average. 10 plus 20 plus 30 plus 40 plus 50 plus 50 equals to 200. Now let's divide the number of data points. We have 6 numbers. So 200, the average is divided by the number 6 is equals to 33.33. That means this is the mean. X bar. Mean is shown as a X bar. Now for each number, subtract the mean 33.33 to see how far it is from the average. So we have to subtract all the numbers with 33. 10 minus 33.33 is equals to minus 23.33. 20 minus 33.33, 30 minus 33.33, and so on. So the next we need to do square of each deviation. Deviation means we have to subtract the number with mean. Here this removes negative signs and emphasizes larger differences. So minus 23.33 square is equal to 544.44, and 13.33 square, next is 3.33 square, and so on. So we have to calculate square of all the deviations. The next step is adding up the square values and dividing. We have to add up all the square values and then divide by the data points. That means the 6 numbers. We have 6 numbers, right? 6. So we have to divide after adding all the square values. So we add 544.44 plus 177.78 plus 11.11 plus 44 plus 49 plus 278.01 plus 278.01 equals to 1333.84. So now we have to divide it by 6, and then the answer is 222.31. In the final step, the square root. So we get the square root 14.91. Alright, question number 10. Explain types of research. So these are some of the types of research. Now let's briefly understand each type. First is qualitative research. Definition is focuses on understanding human behavior, experiences, and emotions through non-numerical data. That means using words and numbers. Methods: interviews, focuses, groups, observation, and open-ended surveys. That means how this is done through these methods. And the purpose is, that means why it's done, to understand and to explore complex concept and gain deeper insight into people's thought and feelings. So this is the purpose. Now let's see the next type, quantitative research. The definition is involves the collection and analysis of numerical data to identify patterns or relationships. So it's about using numbers to study patterns or relationships. See, qualitative data, it's about not using numbers but using words. But here quantitative research is about using numbers to study the patterns or relationships. The method, that means how it done, it's done by surveys, experiments, and statistical analysis. The purpose, that means why it's done, to quantify variables and generalize finding across a larger population. So now let's see the next type, applied research. The definition is focuses on solving practical problem in real world situation. The method, various methodology depending on the issues being addressed. The purpose is to find a solution that can be implemented in everyday life. So this research includes solving real world problem by using different methods based on the problem, and why is done to create a practical solution that can be used in daily life. So it's more into practical solution, finding practical solution. The next is basic research, that means fundamental. Definition is aim to increase knowledge without immediate practical application in mind. The method is theoretical studies, exploratory experiment, and purpose to expand understanding of fundamental principle. Next is descriptive research. The definition is aim to describe characteristics of a population or phenomenon. That means describing what something is like. The method is surveys and observational studies. The purpose is to find a detailed account of what is happening without manipulating the variables. So this is the descriptive study. What is correlational research? Correlation relations research examines the relationship between two or more variables without establishing cause and effect. So we're just examining the relationships. The method is statistical analysis of existing data, and the purpose is to identify patterns and relationships among variables. In other words, correlational research looks at how two or more things are related, but it doesn't show cause and effect. So this is a research, correlational research. Now let's see mixed research. Mixed research combines both qualitative and quantitative methods to give a complete understanding of a problem. How it's done? By using tools like surveys, numbers, and interviews. That means the words. Survey means numbers, interview means words. And why it's done? To gain both measurable data and deeper insight into a topic. So it's a mixed research. Experimental research. Experimental research tests cause and effect relationships by controlling and changing variables. And how it's done? By conducting experiments where one variable is changed and the effect on other is measured. And why it's done? To find out if one thing causes another. See, this all the types have been thoroughly explained in previous video part 2, unit 2. So I'm just giving a brief idea because this is just a question paper explanation. So now let's see question number 11. Explain action research in teaching and learning environment. Action research in a teaching and learning environment is a practical way for teachers to improve their teaching method and enhance student learning. In short, action research in teaching is when teachers actively study and improve their teaching method to help students learn better. So how it's done? Teachers observe, test, and reflect on different teaching strategy, often making small changes based on what they learn. So, and why it's done? To solve specific classroom problem and improve teaching and learning in real time. It focuses on finding practical solution to improve teaching method, learning experiences, and overall educational outcome. All right. Now, how does it work? So it identify a problem, next planning, acting, observing, reflecting, and repeating. So this is the process how it really works. Action research works in a cycle of steps to improve teaching. So this is the steps that to improve teaching. The first is identifying a problem. The teacher notices issue in the classroom, such as students struggling with a topic or not engaging in lessons. The next step is to planning. The teacher develops a plan to address the problem, like changing how lessons are taught and introducing new material. And the third step is acting. The teacher implements the plan in the classroom, making the changes or trying new methods to explain. And the fourth is observational. The teacher watches closely to see how the changes is affecting the students' learning and behavior. The fifth step is to reflect. The teacher reviews the result, thinking about how worked and what didn't. And repeating. Based on reflections and based on the result what defined, the teacher adjusts the approach and start the cycle again, continuously improving teaching methods. Now let's see how action research improves student learning. It improves student learning by targeted intervention. Intervention can be the lessons or the IEPs made for the children or the normal curriculum. Number 2, increase engagement. 3 is continuous improvement. See, action research improves student learning in several ways. The first one is by targeting intervention. That means the teacher identifies specific problem or areas where students need help and focus on addressing those issues directly, leading to be more effective support. The next is how to increase engagement. That means by adjusting teaching method based on what students respond to best, and teacher can make lessons more interesting and engaging, which helps students stay focused and motivated. Evidence-based practices means the teacher used data and observation to find out what works best, ensuring that teaching methods are based on real evidences rather than just a guesswork. And how it's continuously improvement. That means when the cycle of planning, acting, observing and reflecting, teachers are continuously improving their strategies, which leads to ongoing improvement in student learning over time. Now let's see how action research improve teaching methods. First is reflective practice, professional development, adaptability and problem solving skills. Reflecting, professional development, adaptability and problem solving skills. Teachers regularly reflect on their teaching to identify strengths and areas for improvement, which helps them become more thoughtful and effective in their approach. Number two, professional development. By engaging in action research, teachers develop new skills and strategies, enhancing their expertise and keeping up to date with best practices in education. Number three is adaptability, means teachers learn to adjust their teaching method based on what works best in the classroom, allowing them to respond to the needs of their children and the challenges they face. Number four, problem solving skills. Action research encourages teachers to identify challenges, develop solutions, and test them, helping them become better at finding practical solutions to classroom issues. So this is how action research improve teaching methods. All right, the next questions. Question number 12. What is correlation, and calculate rank order correlation for the following data. So let's see what is correlation. Correlation is a relationship or connection between two or more things where changes in one thing are related to changes in another. So if one thing increases and the other also increases, it's a positive correlation. So if one thing increases and the other thing decreases, that means it has a negative correlation. So if there is no clear relationship between the two, that means there is no correlation. So however, correlation doesn't mean that one thing causes the other. It just shows that they are related in some way. So let's see the next. I will be explaining each step in detail in the next video. Now let's see each steps in short. The step 1, this is the step 2, this is next 3, the 4 and then 5. So this is how we calculate it. So we'll be discussing more in detail. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching this. If you like it, don't forget to give a thumbs up and share to your friends who need them and can be benefited. So see you in the next video. Till then, take care.